my 10 tips for developing pipeline business. Tip number 1, make a list of the businesses in your area that you would like to work with. Start off with maybe 10 and then try and add 10 to it every week. You'll be amazed at how quickly that list will start to develop. Tip number 2, do some research. Find out what events are on in your local area. Network events, exhibitions. There's the Croydon Expo in November, and make sure you start getting yourself booked in. I would recommend try and fit in 2 or 3 events per week. Okay, tip number 3, take your list with you wherever you go. You'll be amazed at how many people will know contacts on your list. They might be able to produce their contacts' names, full names. You may find that they have mobile numbers, direct line numbers. They may even know the person personally and turn your cold contact into a warm referral. Okay, tip number 4, when you're at an event, be realistic at how many people you would like to talk to, but have a strategy. If there's 80 people in a room, you may find that that gives you time to maybe talk to 20 or 30. If there's 15, then you should really try and get to talk to all of the people in the room. But give yourself a target and make sure it's completed. Okay, tip number 5, this may sound a little strange. Try not to pitch your business while you're at these events. It's always best to ask questions and then listen. If you think you have a good prospect in front of you that would be interested in your service, mention that you haven't got time to talk right now and would they like to set up a phone conversation later on. If you've built good rapport with that person, you'll be absolutely amazed at how easy that is. Most people will say yes, and then you've got yourself a phone conversation for the following day or for the following week. Tip number 6. If you've been to a number of events in the week, you may find yourself with 20, 30 contacts. It's always best to call that contact within a day or possibly 2 days while they remember you. The conversation you had would be fresh in their mind. Do not then try and make an appointment. Just simply ring them up, tell them it was great to meet them, and would they like to set up 15 minutes at a later date where you can then have a proper conversation. Okay, so we're on to tip number 7. Whilst you're having your 15-minute conversation, say at the start of that phone call that if the conversation flows, maybe it will be a good idea to put a meeting in the diary at a later date, or if there is absolutely nothing to talk about, then not to waste each other's time, just have a friendly chat and end the call. People would appreciate the fact that you're not wasting time, and it gives you a great opportunity to then get into their diary. Tip number 8, when you're having the phone call with your prospect, make sure there's a structure to it. Make sure that you give them 3 major points of how your business can help their business and if that's relevant to them. Once you've asked the question, then listen to what they have to say. You'll be amazed at how the conversation will flow from there. It's very important not to ask for an appointment, but after 10 minutes of phone conversation, I would suggest that you say to that prospect that there's so much more to talk about. Would they like to invite you over to their office so you can go into things a little bit deeper? Once again, it's a much softer way of getting somebody's office, and generally it works. My tip number 9 is that once your prospect has agreed to invite you over to discuss things in more detail, this is where I put in what's called a front-ended contract. What I will say to that client is that when we come over and meet on the day, we're going to discuss some ideas and maybe some implementations of how my business can help. If you think that this isn't going to work for your business, please don't hesitate to tell me so on the day. I'm not going to be in the least bit offended if you tell me that we're not going to do business together. If, however, you do think that there's going to be a general use for my service for your business, then I will be able to take you through to the next steps on the day. Is that going to be okay? Okay, my last tip, tip 10. Once you've done your upfront contract with a client, when you get to meet them, repeat the contract again. What you're simply saying is, if we're not going to do business today, that's perfectly fine, and it takes all the pressure of your prospect. But you did, however, mention that if they do like what you do, you will be able to implement on the day. Just go over that again. If you get to the end of your presentation and then simply ask your prospect if they feel that your service would be of use and they say yes, then just go back to what you said in the contract. Take them through the next steps. Next steps in my book is filling out the paperwork. So those are my top 10 tips. The reason why I'm sharing them with you is because that is my strategy. That is how I get to meet people, and it works for me. I really hope it's going to work for you too.